This is Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition. The Truth, Part 20. Baby, when we left off, the revelations were stark. We found out that crazy Portia is not dead, and she is still pregnant. We also found out that apparently this isn't the Queen Mother's first rodeo with hiding pregnant women to save other people's relationships. I guess that'll be something that, as they say in Trinidad, will soon come. What we know is that Angela and the Queen Mother make a downright good team. Angela took the Queen Mother's original idea and made it even better. The jury is still out on whether Angela's reverse psychology game is going to work on Crazy Portia. And Big Wood went deep in therapy with Dr. Miranda Lopez. He shared some things that many men who grow up without their father actively involved in their day-to-day lives feel and don't always know how to express. He went down the rabbit hole of why he deals with his emotions and his problems the way that he does. And True's one-line response to his very detailed letter was apparently the catalyst for all of this. And last, but certainly not least, Wise had gotten his mother and his sister moved into the house that Q had purchased for Big Wood. When he got home and recapped the whole scenario for Salema, he said, "Then I got in the truck and pulled up the surveillance system. I caught them in mid-convo. My mother was telling Amira that she was being greedy as hell. And Amira was saying that being in hiding means she can't work. My mother should have asked if I was going to still give her the monthly money that I had been sending her back in New York." Salema said, "And what did your mother say?" Wise said, "She said that she no longer has expenses if she's going to be living in Wood's house, getting groceries on my dime. And she asked her who she thought was going to pay for her medical expenses because she ain't got no damn insurance." Salema said, "Okay, your mother got her head on straight." Wise said, "But then she had the audacity to say that they was going to need to double back because they came here without no clothes, shoes, makeup, and other." Salema said, "Oh, so she thinks that this is supposed to be a come-up for her." Wise said, "Clearly. And to prove it, she hit me on the jack. Said the items that you had delivered to the hotel weren't enough." Salema said, "Don't worry about it. Let her shop till she drops. And when it's time for it all to get picked up and delivered, I'll be the delivery driver." Meanwhile, in Puerto Rico, Big Wood is seething. He's gotten another message from Amira, despite having asked her not to contact him until after there was a DNA test. Reading the message, he's wondering to himself if this is how True felt when she read his message. True's response said, "I'll keep you informed about the pregnancy. You keep me informed about the business, and let's leave it at that." It was bad enough that the file containing his message didn't show that it was read until 3 a.m., which had him wondering what she'd been doing, who she'd been doing it with, and why she was up at 3 a.m. But her response didn't come through until 5 a.m., and there was no reason that he could come up with for why it took 2 hours for her to write one sentence. And what the hell did that response even mean? She wasn't going to honor his request and do him that favor? She wasn't open to talk about their relationship. She didn't want to hear about what happened with him and Amira. Or she was so done with him that she ain't care if he was Amira's baby's father. He was going to try to play it her way, but he needed answers. And somebody on the mainland was going to have to rein Amira in. Wood didn't want to pit Salema and Wise against one another. But if Wise couldn't handle his sister, he was going to have to give Slim the tap, because the text messages and phone calls had to stop. Her last lengthy message had the audacity to include conditions under which Amira would give him a DNA test while she was still pregnant. Big Wood screenshotted the entire message and put it in a group chat to Wise, Salema, and Q. Then he texted, "Somebody handle this before I do." When the text came through, Salema and Wise looked at each other, and Wise said, "Oh, hell no. Big gangster, I promise you, you couldn't have paid me to believe that my sister got down like this. There's no universe where I could have even imagined that my sister moved like a ghetto chicken head broad." Salema said, "Well, now you know. Let this be a cautionary tale. Be careful who you cheat with and who you get knocked up. But if you want to live, you won't cheat at all." Wise said, "Big gangster, Don't start making other people's problems our problems. Salema said, I'm not. I'm just stating the obvious. So this is what we're going to do. Let one of the soldiers deliver the groceries and household items that they ordered today. And I'm going to send my tailor by tomorrow to get their sizes and measurements. And then I'm going to have my stylist confer with them both and get a list of all of the things that they need and want. Let Amira pick out all the name brands she can stand. Because that's what this is about. Why I said, please tell me you're not giving in to all her damn demands. Salema said, of course not. Your mother can have whatever she wants. But your sister gonna be fresh to death in Walmart. She want Wood to come here for a DNA test. She want money in her pockets and designer threads on her back. And to damn near renovate the house. Then I'ma beat her at her own game. Put everything she wants just within reach and snatch it all back until she gets with the damn program. And so you know, once we get those DNA results, your mother's moving in here and your sister's going to a safe house. She not living in the lap of luxury while my best friend is in hiding and her whole world is turned upside down. Meanwhile, in parts unknown, True got another message from Big Wood. And this message said, you know who I am and you know what I do. You know how to find me, too. So whenever you ready to talk, you know what to do. I'm going to make sure you home before my baby's born. But if you know like I know, you will not make me come find you. And True guffawed. She handed her phone to her guest who was sitting across from her at the dinner table and said, I told you, audacity is at an all-time high. Can you believe that he had the unmitigated gall to talk to me like Pastor Tanya cut True off and said, True joy. I know good and darn well you're not offended. That's crazy about you. First of all, you too pretty to have your face screwed up like that. And second of all, I know you. You love that man down bad. And even with all that you found out about what all happened between him and Amira, I bet dollars to donuts that there's still so much that you don't know. True said, like what? What positions they did it in? How many orgasms? Pastor Tanya cut her off saying, so you know that she came on to him and he shut her down flat. He ran into her in upstate New York and they didn't meet for dinner. She showed up there when he'd already ordered. You've assumed that the reason why he allowed her to stay there is because he needed his ego stroked, he wanted some get back, or whatever. But you don't know that for sure. You don't know what bait she dangled to get him to converse with her. For all you know, they could have been sitting there talking about his best friend's case. Didn't you say that she was working for the law firm that was trying to get him parole? Wasn't he there to discuss something with that man? True said, no disrespect, Pastor, but I don't give a damn what they was talking about. A discussion of legalities should not have led them to shutting the bar down and stumbling back to his hotel room. Look, I don't know how I'm going to feel in a month, 2, 3, but right now, my trigger finger is itching, and he looked better leaving me the hell alone. I don't want to hear his explanations or his damn apologies. I know I got ish with me, things that I need to work on if I want to be a better mother than the one I had. That's why I agreed to talk to you. He want to pour his heart out. Then he can do what needs to be done to get me home and do it in person. Pastor Tanya said, okay, fair enough. But let's discuss this bodyguard of yours. What did you say his name was? Bosch? Who said, yeah, what about him? Pastor Tanya said, well, one, you told him to take a walk because you'd need 3 hours. I'm getting ready to head out in 15 minutes. True said, I figured I would need some alone time after you left. These conversations tax my patience. Pastor Tanya said, well, excuse me. I'm trying to help you, True. True said, I know. And it's not you, it's the emotions. It's all the things that I can't do anything about. This is not how I intended or expected for all of this to turn out. Pastor Tanya said, well, you know what they say. You want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans. You had a plan? It didn't go the way you expected. But one of my favorite lines from one of my favorite poems goes like this. You begin to accept your defeats with your head held high and your eyes open with the grace of a woman, not the grief of a child. And you learn to build all of your roads on the ground of today because tomorrow's ground is too uncertain for plans. And futures have a way of falling down in mid-flight. So after a while, you learn that even sunshine burns if you get too much. So you plant your own garden and decorate your own. So instead of waiting for someone to bring you flowers, and you learn that you really can endure, that you really are strong, that you really have worth, and you learn and you learn and you learn. With every goodbye, you learn. The two women sat in silence for several minutes, and True said, "That was powerful and deep. I'm gonna keep learning. I promise." Then Pastor Tanya said, "I'ma head out, but I want to leave you with this. Don't you turn into Whitney Houston around here and fall in love with your bodyguard. I think your life is already complicated enough. Don't you?" True said, "Yeah, I'm good on falling in love, but I can't promise that I won't take him for a spin." The following day, true to her word, Salema sent over her tailor to do the measurements and sizing for Mrs. Ali in the mirror, and then she sent over her stylist to get a list of everything that they needed to ensure that they had their heart's desires from head to toe. And the following day, Amira and Miss Ali were escorted to Maribel's office. The nurse did Amira's vitals, and when she took her to the lab to get her urine and blood work, Amira balked. She said, "Blood work for what?" The nurse said, "Routine blood work that you need to have done when you're pregnant." Amira said, "I need to know every single test that you intend to do." The nurse said, "Then you can discuss that with Dr. Lopez, because my responsibility is simply to draw the blood." When Amira and Mrs. Ali got to the back, Maribel came in and said, "I understand there was an issue in the lab." Amira said, "Yeah, your little med tech or whatever she was pulled out 3 or 4 vials and started talking about taking my blood." Maribel said, "And what's the issue?" Amira said, "I need to know what you need my blood for. What tests do you plan on running?" Maribel said, "Well, we run the standard screenings during pregnancy. It doesn't appear that you've had any done. We need to check you for anemia, blood type, RH factor, infections like hepatitis, HIV. We also need to screen you for common genetic conditions, antibodies, and disease markers. It's also time for us to screen you for diabetes, which is why you were told not to eat this morning." Amira said, "I was starving. I had to eat." Maribel said, "I also have a note here that a DNA test needs to be performed." Amira said, "And there we go. That's what this was really about, wasn't it?" Maribel said, "I don't know what you mean." Amira said, "I'm not doing it. I'm not giving you my blood. You're not running no secret DNA tests on my baby. If Wood wants to know if this is his baby, then he can come back to town and we can go to a lab. I can submit a sample and he can submit a sample right there together." Maribel, not in the mood for the shenanigans, decided that it was high time Amira got a little dose of reality. She pretended not to know who the hell Wood was. She said, "If who wants to know whether he's the father?" Amira said, "Wood." Maribel shuffled through her paperwork and said, "I'm sorry, I don't have a Wood on this paperwork. Is that the potential father's name or a nickname?" Then it hit Amira. She didn't even know that man's government name. She said, "Well, whatever name you got on that paperwork." Maribel said, "No, I need you to confirm the name of the man who's supposed to be taking the DNA test." Amira said, "What difference do it make? Because I'm not taking it." Maribel said, "Well, if you want me to arrange for you and this man to go to a lab and have a DNA test performed, then I'm going to need both of your full legal names." Maribel clicked her pen and said, "Now, what is his first name? Can you spell it, please?" And Amira lost it. She said, "I'm not telling you a damn thing. I'm sure you got his name on that paper. And like I said, if he wants a test, he can come here and we can do the test together. I'm going to need another doctor because this is not going to work." Maribel said, "That's fine. I was only supposed to be doing your preliminary workup, preliminary ultrasound, and submitting the sample for the DNA test. I'd already made it clear to your brother that I wasn't accepting any new patients." Then Maribel got up and walked to the door and said, "The nurse will show you out." Mrs. Ali said, "Amira, you are embarrassing. I don't know what's gotten into you. I don't know what's wrong with you. Why didn't you just give that doctor Wood's name?" Amira said, "If I knew his damn name, I would have, Mommy." Mrs. Ali said, "You think you pregnant by a man and you don't even know that man's name?" Amira said, "Everybody calls him Wood. Nobody calls him by anything else." Mrs. Ali said, "Girl, the man was in your brother's wedding. The imam said his full name when he called him up to bear witness to the nikah. Where was your mind during all of that?" Amira said, "You really want to know? My mind was enthralled. I was picturing that man with his clothes off. I was picturing that man in my bed. I was picturing me and that man standing there having a nikah. And if I have my way, it's not too late for me to have everything that I pictured that day." Mrs. Ali said, "Oh, you mentally ill. Something is wrong with you. I always knew you was different, but I didn't know you was throwed off. I'm gonna get your brother to schedule you for a psych eval, cause you got to be crazy. That man don't want you. He don't even want this baby. Thank God he got some morals. And he's communicated that he's willing to step up and take care of this child. But that's more than you should expect, and a great deal more than you should even ask for. You do realize that he has a woman. He's engaged to be married, and they have a baby on the way. Mira said she walked out on him, and he has no idea where she is. Mrs. Ali said, and how would you know that? Amira said, I have my ways. Mrs. Ali said, girl, I don't know what you up to, but somebody tried to kill me in New York. Your brother was followed, and we barely made it out of there. Your brother moved heaven and earth to save your life in the life of that baby. The fact that you still playing games is preposterous. Your brother asked you 2 days ago, what else your daddy's illegitimate son had you wrapped up in, and you said nothing. If there's somebody who's feeding you information, then clearly you lied. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not standing for it. When Mrs. Ali grabbed her cell phone to call Wise, Amira snatched it out of her hand and said, let me tell you something, old lady. If you wanna live, you'll mind your damn business. Our lives are on the line, and I'm trying to save them. Now, there are only 2 ways that we can walk away from this. Either Wood chooses me, and I tell him everything, and he handles the people who are after me, or I get them the information that they want and help them secure their positions. They'll give me a huge payday, and me, you, and this baby can fall off the map. Anything other than that is going to end both of us up dead. Mrs. Ali said, Amira, there's a third choice. You can tell your brother the truth and let him and Salema's family handle it. But if you give these people whatever information it is that they want, they're not going to let you leave. They're going to kill you, your baby, and me. And even if they don't, you'll be ruining countless lives, including your brother's. Amira said, my brother put us up in a desolate house in no man's land with no money, no food, no clothes. Mrs. Ali said, that's not true. All we had to do was ask. Amira said, we shouldn't have had to ask. He should have opened the doors to his home for us. We are his family. He barely knows that damn Salema. And for all we know, that might not be his baby. Because from what I overheard at their wedding, Salema has a reputation of her own. You want me to worry about Wise, but he not really worried about me. He just trying to save face. He want to be seen as the family man. But a real family man would have stood up for me at his house. He wouldn't have let True put her hands on me and leave. And he would have stood up for me against Wood. But he didn't. He blamed it all on me. Everybody's looking at me and judging me. But I didn't sleep with that man when he was drunk. I slept with him in the light of day when he was dead sober. Mrs. Ali said, then why are you avoiding the DNA test? Amira said, I'm not. I know this is his baby. I'm just trying to get him back here. Mrs. Ali said, for what? Amira said, so I can give him the choice. He can choose me or I will. Mrs. Ali sat there in stunned silence. And when their conversation was complete, the nurse came back in and escorted them out. At the firm, Wise and Q were fuming. The pen that Maribel had been using, the one that she'd been clicking, had a hidden recording device in it, and it had picked up that entire exchange. Wise looked at Q and said, my sister's trying to set Wood up. And Q said, and we gonna help her.